Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. I hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video here on Ripple and XRP. And it's a major update because it seems like they still have to go through some formalities. It seems, but it seems like the Ripple SEC case is over. All right, yesterday in the late afternoon or early afternoon, I think in the US. Most states, at least, it was around that time. We got the scoop, or at least we got the news. That Ripple will drop their appeal in the Ripple SEC case as well, and that they've reached some sort of a settlement with the SEC, that right now they're going to pay, I think, $50 million out of the first proposed $125 million. And just in general, that the case is over, and and the SEC will ask Judge Torres to lift the obey the law injunction. Look, I looked up what that is. I'm not 100% sure what that exactly is. It's probably slightly bullish that they ask Judge Torres to lift it, but I don't think it matters that much. But ultimately, I mean, this is major news, all right? This was the news that we've been waiting for, and then we take a look at the price, and we barely see any price action, any movement, and that's also one of the key things that I wanted to talk about. Because I talked about this slightly yesterday in my Telegram group and also in the Signal group, and what we said is that, to a certain extent, this is obviously good news, all right, because this means the whole case is over. It's over under relatively favorable circumstances. I mean, I would still like to get some information about the institutional sales, right? I mean, does this dropping of the obey the law injunction mean that institutional sales or XRP sales to institutions are again possible, or are possible to a certain extent? Or does it mean that Ripple really concedes on that point, right? Because that's one of the major points they lost in the ruling back in August, that the sales they did to institutions were wrong, all right? And that they were not able to do that again, and that was also one of the key reasons why Ripple appealed. Now, they dropped the appeal, so that's still a little bit, I mean, if that's still part of the judgment, that's bearish. And what I've spoken about yesterday, and in the end, and look, we'll get to the technicals in a moment, because I mean, contrary to what you might believe, I think the technicals right now are most important. But fundamentally, like if you go back in time and you take a look at XRP right here, and you take a look at the times when we were most bullish, all right. So that was at least in the last couple of years, outside of the bull market, of course. The times that we were most bullish was the 12th of July 2023. I still remember that very, very clearly. I made the video that got most views, or at least one of the most views on my channel at that point of time. And then the second time was right here, major volume, and we actually no, I'm wrong. The second time was right here, July 2024, when we got some updates about the case. We rallied a lot as well. But what you can see is that both times we rallied super quick after the news. Much quicker than now, right? So if we would still rally right now, it would be incredibly late. But second of all, what you can also see is that the only time XRP really rallied, outside of when the market was also strong, is when we had those updates about the case. And right now the case is gone, right? One of the main catalysts for XRP is gone. We can no longer receive bullish news from that. And the price is relatively flat, right? So that's why I'm slightly worried. Now, like I said, in the end, the price or the technicals, the market determines what's right. Because the market could also say, all right, well, we've lost this bullish catalyst with the case. However, the entire case is gone. So now Ripple can actually focus and spend resources on building an amazing platform, building an amazing product. And that's bullish. And that's why we're going to break out. In the end, we have to receive confirmation. And the technical situation right now for XRP is completely the same as what it was yesterday. We're still stuck between that level right here around 2.48 and right here at 2.4. All right, and we're waiting for one of those two levels to break. And at this point of time, I mean, that still remains relatively unclear. Now, I'm leaning slightly, for multiple reasons, for multiple things that happened over the last 24 hours, I'm leaning slightly towards a bullish breakout. All right, so this is what I would say, that's my prediction. I'm not trading this at this point of time, because this is mostly based upon my thoughts of the market, what I expect from Bitcoin, what I expect from Bitcoin's moves. And then second of all, the order flow of XRP. What you can see is that over the last 24 hours, a little bit longer, we've actually seen a lot of shorts come into the price of XRP. And even though I think there's a world where the developments of the last 24 hours are considered bearish, I think in these market circumstances, those longs will get hunted. Those shorts will get hunted, excuse me. We had some leverage longs opening this morning, some more shorts, but that combination of a relatively strong market, relatively positive news as well. I mean, in the end, I do think this is leaning more positive than negative. I'd say this is most likely, all right, and that we will at least hunt those shorts, and then from there we'll see. But that's what I think you need to know for now. So if you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.